Goods and Services Tax for Bcom 5th semester. Let us discuss all the 2 marks questions which are important. What is GST? The first question will be, what is GST? GST, Goods and Services Tax, is an indirect tax levied on the supply of goods and services. It is a comprehensive multi-stage destination based tax that has been subsumed most of the existing central and state indirect taxes into a single unified tax structure for the entire country. The final consumer bears the tax burden, and the value addition at each stage of the supply chain is taxed with a mechanism for an input tax credit to prevent a cascading effect of taxes. Question number 2. What are the types of GST? There are 4 main types of GST in Indian tax structure based on the nature of the transaction, that is intrastate and interstate. The first type of GST is CGST, that is Central Goods and Services Tax. This is levied by the central government on the intrastate, that means within the same state, supplies of goods and services. The second type of GST is State Goods and Services Tax. It is called as SGST. This is levied by the respective state government on intrastate supplies of goods and services. Then the third type of GST is IGST. It stands for Integrated Goods and Services Tax. This is levied by the central government on all interstate, that means between two different states, supplies of goods and services as well as on the imports and exports. The fourth and the final type of GST is Union Territory Goods and Services Tax, that is UTGST. This is levied by the administration of the Union Territory without a legislature on intra-union territory supplies of goods and services. The third important question is, state the taxable event of GST. The taxable event under GST law is the supply of goods or services or both. This is a shift from the previous regime where different events like manufacture, sale or provision of service were taxed separately. GST liability arises at the point of supply takes place provided it is for a consideration and in the course of furtherance of business with a few exceptions. Next question. What is a debit note? A debit note is a document issued by the supplier to a recipient when the original tax invoice was issued with a value lower than the actual value of supply, or when a lower tax amount was charged with an error. Its purpose is to regularize the transaction, formally indicate an increase in the amount owed by the buyer to the seller, and increase the supplier's tax liability accordingly. Next question. What is e-invoice? E-invoice or electronic invoicing is a system under GST in which businesses, that is B2B, business to business invoices and a few other documents like credit debit notes are authenticated electronically by the GST network, that is GSTN. The business generates the invoice on its own system and then repairs its details to the invoice registration portal, that is IRP, which issues a unique invoice reference number, that is IRN, and a digitally signed QR code. This automates data transfer for tax return filing and e-way bill generation, reducing manual entry errors and tax evasion potentials. The next important question is, state the significance of time of supply. The time of supply in GST is a point in time when the liability to charge and pay taxes arises. Its significance lies in 1. Determining the correct tax period in which the supply is to be reported in returns, identifying the applicable tax rate and value of supply, establishing the due date of GST payment, which helps the businesses to avoid penalties and interest charges for delayed payment.